Hello, so this is our 3D visualization tool. This 3D visualization tool uses thematic networks and graph theory to provide a global understanding of the immersive learning field of knowledge. It is used to visualize immersive learning themes and their associated papers. So on the left side menu, we have filtering related capabilities, and then on the right side, we have clustering related capabilities. So let's start to explore the network right now. We can navigate through the network by moving horizontally as well as vertically as well. We can also zoom in the environment as well. So this visualization tool applies the Louvain algorithm to detect the communities between these teams. So let's focus on a team. So the cubes and spheres, they represent the teams. And these white spheres around the specific teams, they represent that these papers are associated with these specific teams. So let's look at this cluster providing automated feedback. So you see these papers around it. It means that these papers are associated with this area. And the papers are positioned at the centrality of their associated teams. That's why if we zoom a little bit out of the environment, we can see that we have a lot of papers in the middle. The reason why it's because they are associated with many different teams, strategies, and practices, many different teams of immersive learning. And that's why they are positioned in the middle, because we position them at the centrality. We can start to explore the network by interacting with some of these teams. Let's look at this foster collaboration. When we click on it, it's gonna make a call to the backend. So there you go. So it's gonna tell you the name of the team, the total number of associated papers. You can export all of the papers inside of this area. It's gonna show you all of the papers inside of this area, and it's gonna organize from most influential to least influential according to the number of times the specific papers was cited by other works in the same area, which is foster collaboration. So we can also do the same for the researchers. These are all the researchers in this area. It has this total number of associate papers organized from most influential to least influential. Same for institutions. We can see all of the total number of institutions and also organized from most influential to least influential. We can export this information as we click in, and then if we just open this, it's extracted in bib text. So it can be used outside of this tool. You could cite these papers. So these are all of the papers inside of this area. And it also tells you what other areas is this paper associated with. So going back to the visualization tool, now when we click on a white sphere, which is a paper, we can see the name of the title of the paper, the publication year, publication outlet, the number of citations, and the authors related to this theme. We can also visualize what other areas is this paper associated with by clicking on strategies and practices. So this paper is only associated with one area. We can use another clustering criterion to detect the relationship between the strategies and practices, these different teams. So this first criterion, it groups teams that point to the same paper. We also have paper citation, paper co-citation, and bibliographic coupling. So as we change the criterion, the spatial distribution of teams change as well. So paper citation, as I change, it's finding new relationships and it starts to move everything around. So there you go, new relationships are found. We can do another criterion, which is paper co-citation. So we can see it starts to move. It applies a force-directed algorithm called the Fletcherman-Reingold force-directed algorithm. We can go back to team and paper association, and we can see they start to move around. We can also control the resolution of the graph, meaning If you want less clusters, you can just decrease the resolution. Let's test this. So we have 24 clusters in here. If I decrease the resolution, it decreases the number of clusters as well, but it does not change the spatial distribution. We can also clean the network a little bit by clicking on display lines. It makes the network much more cleaner. And if we just want to focus on the themes, we can just display papers. There you go. We can also control the colors of themes. For example, we have this cluster of 14 member with oranges. So we can change let's light blue or brown or yellow or purple. There you go. And we can see that. We can do that with other classes as well. So we can explore the classes as well, meaning all of the communities it detected. So as I open, so we can see this is the first cluster with the name cluster 45, and it has all of these themes inside of it. Going back to the tool, we can also, since we changed the resolution, we can reposition the network by clicking on position nodes. So if we click on it, there you go, it repositions the clusters. We can also know a little bit of the history about the project, the developers, and everybody involved in the project. So let's try to filter a little bit. If you want to focus on a specific area, let's look for collaborative learning, and then let's filter this information in here. We can do that. Let's just wait a little bit. There you go. So this is the area collaborative learning. So let's turn on all of the papers. As you can see, these are all of the papers inside of this area. And then let's try to focus on a paper. For example, on an author. Let's look for an author, Chris did. As we search for this author, it's gonna find all of the papers that have that author, and for those papers find their associated themes. So we can see this is a paper written by Chris, this white sphere. If we move another one up here, this was also written by Chris as well. And then I think we have two more down here. So this can already tell you the influence about these authors, because his papers are associated with multiple areas. The same goes for institutions and publication outlets, and so far and so on. We have an overview button just to go back to the initial position of the camera. So there's a lot more to this tool. We can combine these filtering capabilities together with different clustering criteria to understand how are these themes in the scientific field of immersive learning related to each other. So let me just click on starting point. It has a navigation tutorial. It explains what the different shapes represent, what the size represent, and so far and so on.